How did this former waitress make $10,000 wholesaling a house without using her cash or credit? Well, she's here to spill the beans, so you know what you need to do. Stand by. Let's get it.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Hello, guys. This is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and today, out of North Carolina, we have Yaz here, and she has a very interesting story on how she's made this happen during this coronavirus COVID-19 fiasco. How's it going, Yaz?
It's going, Ty. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is really surreal.
Well, what you guys don't know is that Yaz is giving me her time for the second time because the video quality wasn't good on the first interview or when we recorded it. So I really appreciate her showing back up to tell the story to me again, but for the first time for you all. So let's get into it. So let's get a little background on who you or what you were doing before you decided to dive into real estate investing mainly wholesaling.
Yes, sure. So I still work a full-time job at the moment, and I work at a company called Siemens as a customer care coordinator, and I also trade Forex, and that is what I was doing prior to stumbling across real estate.
Okay, all right. So so let's get into as you told me in the original interview and what I know about your situation, what happened to, I guess, fast forward you into doing something different than what? Guys, guess what? I had to interrupt you, but it's here. The app, Day Later, aka PropStream, is now available for Apple and Android. This is a game changer. You've been asking for it. I've mentioned it a couple of times. The app is here. I know you can't really see anything here with the glare from my lights, but it is available. So if you already got it, all you got to do is just go to whatever device you have, whether it's Android or an Apple phone, iPhone or whatever, and download it from their app stores or Google Play or whatever. But if you did have it and you dropped it, you need to get it back. This is awesome. It is awesome, right? I've been waiting on it. I know you all have been waiting on it, so you gotta get it. So the PropStream app is available. Please go to my site, daylater.com, where you can get the 5-day free trial. Plus, we'll have a training video on this coming soon, probably within the next day or two after this video. It's gonna show you all the great features that it offers. So again, you can get it now, guys. The app is available. Day Later, aka PropStream. Back to regular programming.
Absolutely. Of course, COVID has been a culture shock to us all. And for me, it wiped out one of my incomes. So I was not able to, meet certain needs or whatever financially. So I had to come up with a supplemental income. I was trading Forex, and it still just wasn't enough. And so one night I was just up doing research. I said, something's got to give. I was following one of the traders on YouTube and came across one of his videos talking about passive income and multiple streams of income. And he was stating how, Forex wasn't his only means of income, of revenue. So he mentioned real estate, and he threw out the name Grant Cardone. So I quickly, went over there, shot over to Grant Cardone's page, and, he was doing a presentation about real estate and how to get involved in real estate. However, it just wasn't relatable for me because I was starting with no funds, and I'm like, okay, how can this work for me? And so beneath his video under, on YouTube, they show you the suggested videos was Ty. And he was, had all the advertisements there, the numbers were flashed, and this was someone that looked like me. So I was saying, let me press play and find out what's going on with what he's doing. And Ty was talking about real estate, but he was talking about it in a way that I was able to retain and digest. And, he introduced me to wholesaling.
Oh, wow. So just to back up a little bit, you didn't tell him the income that you replaced. I think you said you were a waitress before. Yeah, so
yeah.
Because that's the title of the video, and I already got the thumbnail and all that stuff done. So we want to make sure.
A waitress part. I was a waitress, and I made good money waitressing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so when COVID came, restaurants shut down, everything just shut down, and so I was like, it was a big chunk of my income missing. Whereas I used my full-time job to pay the bills, the other was for us to live on and do the extra things that we needed to do. So yeah.
Okay, so you discovered I guess me and
you
and I guess you probably watched some other stuff too. So
but you were my first video. Video. Yes.
All right. So let's get a timeline of, so how long from the point that you discovered, say, hey, this wholesaling thing, wow, this may be something I can actually do. So just give us a timeline of from the point you were educating yourself till, and so on.
Yeah. So I started educating myself immediately. I binge watched all of your videos, if not all, because I know it's so many videos out there, really close to it. I just binge watched it June. This was mid to end of June. And I immediately took action. I didn't wait to take action. I'm a person that when I get a hold of something, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I step out there all the time on faith. So I ordered my bandit signs as you instructed. While I'm looking at your video, I'm writing down, jotting down notes on how to go about doing that. So the first thing I did was order my bandit signs.
All right, boom. That's what's up. So in the meantime of you receiving the bandit signs, were you doing anything extra, or what were you doing in the process, in the meantime before the signs got
In the
there?
meantime, before the bandit signs arrived, I also subscribed to PropStream. I did the free trial of PropStream. Also a texting tool called Smarter Contacts is the texting tool that I used to follow the leads that I received off of PropStream. So those were basically the only two marketing tools that I was using.
Okay, so let's get into how you found your actual first deal and and how that process went.
Yeah, so I basically did a absentee owner list, based off of one of your videos of going through PropStream to create that list and filtering that list. I did that. I also, how I came upon that particular area, you had another video on hot zip codes, how to create a list off of that. So I used that information, created my absentee owner list. And at the time, y'all, I didn't have much money. I wasn't dealing with a whole lot of money. So I would skip trace. I didn't have thousands of names. I couldn't afford thousands of names to skip trace. So I would skip trace maybe 100 at a time. Maybe 150, here and there. And based off the list that I skip traced, I loaded that list into Smarter Contacts and sent out a text blast. And out of maybe 200, a list of 200 that I sent a text blast out, I got one yes.
Oh, wow. That's what's up. Okay. Yeah. So let's get into that one yes and how that went from text messaging, I'm assuming, to a phone call and
yes.
so on.
Yes. So this particular individual seller, she was out of state. She didn't reside in the state of North Carolina, but the property that she was in North Carolina, and she basically said yes, she was interested in selling. I reached back out to her via text at first to say, hey, can we set aside some time to jump on a phone call so we can discuss this further? And she agreed. And I believe that night I called her and we discussed the deal. She had one property that she was interested in selling, but she also had a whole duplex that she wanted to sell. So, just from that one lead, it was a possibility that it could turn into two deals. However, we couldn't get the numbers right on the duplex, but, as far as the one side of the duplex that she owned, we were able to work something out with that.
Okay. So, so how did you all arrive at a price that worked for you, and how did you know that it was a price that would work for you?
So I did my comps and everything on the property prior to, and the comps that I came up with was the ARV being about 140, 143 in that area. It's a high rental area too, so a lot of homes over there or townhomes over there are rented out. So I did my numbers based off of that. She didn't know she hadn't even did any kind of research before to find out what she thought her house was worth. So she was just, throwing a figure out there. She was like, well, maybe, I guess I wanted that 100,000 maybe for it. She owed about 72K on the property, so she still had an existing mortgage. And so I said, okay, 100K. I didn't knock her offer down immediately. I told her, I said, well, let's do this. Let's set up some time to do a walkthrough of the property, and we'll go from there. I'll be able to follow up with phone call, and I can get a good assessment of the condition of the property.
Okay,
so we went
boom. So once you for people that may be watching this and this may be their first introduction to wholesaling and what ARV means, it simply means after repair value is what it stands for. But it simply means what will the house appraise for in excellent condition. Whenever you're evaluating a property that you're trying to wholesale, you have to think backwards in the sense of how will the investor make money off of it, and starts with knowing what the house will be appraised for in excellent condition. So there's a process that you can go through, which I have free videos, tons of them on how to figure that out. So now you came up with, I think you say what, 143, 140 or whatever?
Yep, about 143 for the ARV, and she wanted 100,000. So after the walkthrough, I didn't have a contract. I didn't have her under contract just yet. So I did the walkthrough before the contract was signed.
So just to be clear on the walkthrough part of it, that means someone showed her the property. She, Yaz had to see the actual property. Was it the owner or some? So
the property was tenant occupied. I'm sorry, I meant to mention that as well. It was a tenant occupied property. So I had to make sure I set that up with the seller, and she coordinated with her tenant, what time will work for them. She didn't have a property manager, but she had a, maintenance guy that was familiar with the property. So he actually met me at the property to do the walkthrough. Okay, so the maintenance guy showed the property. What just out of curiosity, was the tenant on a month-to-month lease, or were they long-term? Yes. So there was a lot going on as far as the lease is concerned with this particular seller, because she wasn't very organized. She couldn't locate the lease. So it was more at this point, the tenant had been living there for about 8 or 9 years. At this point, a lot of the communications were verbal between her and the tenant. So he was technically like on a month-to-month situation. So he hadn't signed like another year lease or anything like that. So it was more so month to month. Okay. All right. So at what point, so did the $100,000 amount work for you, or No, I mean, that wasn't going to work for me.
Okay.
I knew going in that $100,000 that I was going to have to talk her down from that 100,000. Okay. So, yeah, that wasn't going to work. But I just, the rapport building, took place. I built a lot of rapport with this particular seller. She depended on me because she was out of state for practically everything. Okay. So just me, I wanted to create the comfortability, her being comfortable with me there. So I didn't press. I wasn't, like, I didn't battle her or negotiate with her on price until I did the walk.
How did you get her down?
So I called her that evening after doing the walkthrough, and I said, I know you wanted 100. I said, and you do, we've already talked about the condition. I saw it in person, the condition of the property. It does need some work. She agreed. It does need some work. And I said, hey, going off of my, the videos that Ty put out there, I said, is $100,000 the best you can do? And she said, well, how about 85? I said, well, we can't do, we're not going to be able to do 85. I said, how about 80? She agreed. She said, okay, I can do 80. And that's how that conversation went.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now, so you had to put it on the contract. I think you said you used, not my contract, but someone else's contract, on the property. So you placed it on the contract. So the next, thing was, now it's time to find a buyer. So what was the first thing you did to try to get a buyer or buyers?
Yeah, so everything happened so quick, Ty. Like, this was like maybe Friday evening that I discussed, we negotiated costs. And this is a lesson to everyone. These sellers, of course, they don't really know who they're dealing with. As far, like, I had never met her before in person. She was out of state. She asked me, was it okay for her to take my contract and have it looked over by her lawyer, right? This is like on Friday. So yeah. I said to her, okay, no problem. I didn't give her any pushback. I said, absolutely no problem. If you have any questions, just give me a call and let me know. Sent her over the contract via DocuSign. The next day, which was Saturday, I didn't hear from her. So I still, and I know this is not the right way to do it. I don't want you guys to do it this way. Definitely have that signed contract before you go shop it around. But I was super confident in the rapport and everything that I built with this seller that, she was going to sign the contract. Mm-hmm. So I put together my profile and everything. I sent my list of buyers an email blast to all of them at one time with the picture of the property. And I also loaded some additional photos onto the Google, what is it called? Google Files or something like that. I loaded it onto there so they could see the additional photos and told them what, I was asking for 93 for the property. Immediately I got responses back. I mean, again, this is before I even had the contract, signed on the dotted line with the seller. But immediately I had people just emailing me back, calling me. And actually I ended up going with the second buyer because the first buyer that I came across and I had a conversation with, I believe he was another wholesaler and he was very pushy and he was, more so like, well, when can I show my client the property? And I was like, well, it's tenant occupied. I just want to make sure I'm respectful of the tenant. So I will have to set that up for you. And he's like, oh no, you just want to show other buyers, you just want to shop it around. And I'm just like, no. I don't have a problem with like JVing with people and things of that nature, but it's just, you have to come correctly to me. You can't just, come any kind of way or sideways or, deceitful, so. I didn't get good vibes from him at all. So it was a blessing that I had, like people were just really interested in this property because right after I got off the phone with him, I was on the phone with another buyer. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, how who stepped forward to say, hey, let's do it, and how did you go about choosing that individual?
Yeah. So the buyer, he basically was saying, I don't care who else you have interested. I'm willing to give you what you're asking for. I'm ready to close like tomorrow.
Well, I skipped a part. What did you put it at? What did you market the property at? What price?
93.
Okay, so she had it under contract for 80,000, and she marketed it at 93,000. Okay, and so what happened?
So basically, the seller ended up, just to backtrack a little bit, the seller ended up contacting me back on that following, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. She didn't, come to find out, she really didn't have a lawyer. It was just a friend of hers that she was going to have look over the document. She did. So, she didn't, that person didn't come through for her. So I told her, I said, that's no problem. I'll be more than happy to go over the document with you. We went over the document together and she signed it that day, sent it back. The buyer, I had already had sent over the buyer, the guy that was ready to go. He had the funds. He was ready to close like yesterday. He knew that there was a situation with the tenant, that we had a tenant in place, and his only stipulation was that he did not want to close until the property was completely vacant, because he wanted to get his contractors right in, to do the upgrades or whatever it was that he was going to do to the property. So another stipulation was that, he asked, and he wasn't pushy, or anything. He asked, is it okay if I use my closing attorney? So we used his closing attorney. I said, that's fine. He said, I'll pay closing costs. And he never went to go see, this was sight unseen. So he just basically went off of the pictures that I sent him.
How did you all arrive? I know you marketed it at 93. How did you end up with with 10 grand? What happened there?
The 3,000 chop down. There was some siding that he noticed in one of the photos that was going to have to be like fully done because of the material that the siding was made out of. And so he mentioned that, he threw that out there, and he was saying, would you do 90, because of that and the other stuff. And so I was, it was my first deal, I didn't give any pushback. I'm like, that's still 10,000. I'm good. He's ready. I don't have to do anything else. I didn't have to do another walkthrough with him or anything like that. I was so nervous, you guys, would it be in my first deal? So I did agree to the 90,000.
Yeah, but it sounds like this guy will be a repeat buyer. So to take that, what you would think is a $3,000 hit may be $100K of the next 12 months, just from him, whatever. So, he paid you $10,000 just to be added to your buyers list in reality. Yes. So how did she make the 10,000?
We still have a business relationship today. Yeah. So, yes.
Oh, yeah. So how she made the $10,000, just to make it clear for those maybe newbies, is that she had it under contract with the seller. We'll get to the closing process or whatever, but she has it under contract with the seller for $80,000, and then the cash buyer, the investor, agreed to pay $90,000. So that's the second contract. So you have contract A for $80,000, the other contract B for $80,000, and contract B for $90,000. And she gets the difference of $10,000. So it's time to close, and I think there was an issue or something with it.
Yes. So closing time, we ran into a couple of issues, not major issues, but the one issue that I was kind of threw me back for a loop was the fact that the closing attorney's office sent me over a document stating that there wasn't a status, there was in regards to the deed of trust, there was something going on with, the former lien not being satisfied on that deed of trust. And so he was saying, you're going to have to reach out to your seller and tell your seller to, supply those documents to show that it was satisfied. And so I reach out to my seller. That's the first thing I do. And I'm telling her about it. I'm so, green, when it comes to this, I'm just automatically thinking that she's going to know what I'm talking about. He had no idea what I was talking about. So I said, well, why don't, you can go to your closing, whoever your closing attorney was at the time when you closed on this property, to find out, was that lien ever satisfied? Because this was back from like '06. And so she said, well, my attorney, the closing attorney is deceased, I said, okay. So she actually had no idea what to do. I didn't have any idea what to do. I reached back out to the closing attorney, and they really weren't that helpful, or as helpful as I thought they would be. So what I did was I looked over the document again, and I asked them, I said, well, who is it that the previous owner owns the lien amount to? And they told me who it was. I then researched that company, called that finance company, and then got the ball rolling for them to submit the satisfaction document to the Register of Deeds after that.
Okay.
So that was the one hang up that took about maybe a three-day deviation from the day that we were gonna, supposed to close.
Okay. So, but you still had to wait until the actual tenant, the tenant was out also. So
Right.
it took you all where it probably would have only maybe took a couple of weeks to close. It took a lot longer because he wanted the tenant actually out of the property before he closed on it, meaning the cash buyer, the investor. So how long did that take?
Right. So initially we thought the tenant was going to be out by the end of July. Like it was, we were looking like, she sent me notification that the tenant might be out by the end of July. And I said, oh, this is great. This is sooner than I thought. But turns out he needed more time. And so the tenant didn't actually vacate until like early part of like right after Labor Day, I believe it was.
Okay. All right.
He ended up leaving I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He ended up leaving a vehicle on the side of the house that we had to get towed. And it was just crazy.
All right. So got him out, and closing date is set up. So tell us how that was, and I guess the excitement on that.
Yes. So even though I was so close to closing, you guys, like I was still nervous that something else could go, I'm like, oh God, I hope nothing else goes wrong. The whole thing was still surreal to me. Like I just didn't believe it yet. So closing took place because of COVID. Everything happened, was outside. I didn't have to sign anything. I just basically sat in my car and waited for them to call me and tell me that my check was ready. But I stayed in contact with the seller. I stayed in contact with the attorney's office, and I stayed in contact with my buyer. So my buyer's ready. He's like, is the tenant out? I'm ready to close. The seller's, she's saying, is it time to close? Everybody is just waiting and ready to close. So my buyer ended up being late to the closing. He didn't get to the closing until like late on the 9th of September. So things everything didn't go through until the following day, which was September 10th. That's the date on my check. I made a trip all the way out there to the closing attorney, and I had to make another trip the following day because, everything wasn't ready.
No problem.
No problem. For $10,000, I'll make a couple trips.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. So the seller obviously was out of town, so they handled all of that through email and overnight mail.
Overnight and notary. Yep.
Yeah.
Mobile notary.
Yeah, just to clear that up for people, because that's a common question. If the seller's out of town, how to, technology is how you close it. So, bam. So they called you to get your check, and what was that like?
Ty, it was a feeling I can't even explain. Like to know that just weeks, in a matter of weeks, that I changed my situation. Based off of information that I decided to take action on. It was just a thought, that just manifested. And it was so surreal. Like even now, I'm still like, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I did that, but I did. And, I plan on doing it many more times.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So what's next for you? Obviously more deals, but what's your game plan?
Absolutely. My game plan, I do daily affirmations, Ty, and I have like a 90-day goal, you know, to reach the 100K club, 100,000K club.
Okay.
And so that's one of my goals. And also just to learn more, especially when it comes to like creative financing. I'm really, you know, researching and studying that because I don't want to leave any money on the table whatsoever.
Boom. All right. Wow. What a great story. And I'm glad you would come back on to
Absolutely.
help me.
Absolutely.
Because my video quality wasn't what I wanted to be. I think I'm still a little off, but whatever. We're going to roll with this one.
Okay.
Anything you want to share with anyone, you know, that's getting started, just to maybe give them some encouragement on the process?
Yeah,
What you need to
absolutely. If I had to give any advice to you all, it would be to be sure that you condition your mind, because a lot of this, a good chunk of this is going to be your mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, then you'll fold quickly when things go wrong, or when, you know, you're not getting those deals coming through. I have things in the pipeline, but I don't have anything at the closing table yet. But because my mindset is right, I know that it's coming. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure you have the positive mindset, because you're going to come into contact with so many different personalities when it comes to these sellers, people that are interested, you know, motivated, and, you know, the unmotivated is going to let you really know. So, yeah, just make sure you guys have a positive mindset, and just make sure you hang in there. Do not quit. Don't give up. You are literally only one deal away from changing your life.
That's what's up. I really, really, really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Your time again. No problem at all. And you've helped many, I'm sure, on their journey of changing their financial situation.
Because of you.
No. It's because of you. The information is just a tool, and you have to use it. You know, I like to always make that clear that you're the guarantee. When people say, "What guarantees do I have?" I'm like, "Huh? What kind of question is that?" So you're basically saying, if I guarantee you're gonna make money, that means you don't have to do anything. You're gonna make money regardless. No.
No.
My free videos and tools that I recommend or whatever, they're only tools.
That's right.
You are the guarantee. Your efforts are the guarantee. The stuff works. I didn't invent this. This is centuries, years old. Or whatever.
That's right.
I just took some bare old information and applied it myself, and many others have and will continue to do that. So I'm no smarter than you are. Yaz may be, but I'm not.
I'm not. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, that's the whole point I'm making. So, but again, I really appreciate you sharing your time. And as I always say, guys, we will see you on the flip side.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.